Ready? Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, we'll let you lead there, Joe. Starting now.
Appreciate it.
We're live.
Hi,
Hi.
and welcome to
Love
another
that beard,
exciting Pirate News. With you is the Beard. I'm your quartermaster, and I'm hailing you from New Hampshire today. That being said, this is the Massachusetts Pirate News, and so thank you, gentlemen, for being with me tonight. I got Jamie,
Ahoy.
Steve,
Good evening.
and Malt.
Banana pancakes.
Those are good.
Those are good. And I'm even clean today. Nice and fresh for you folks, fine folks tonight. We do have a good lineup today.
Chili pancakes. Don't. They are no substitute for chocolate chip pancakes.
Or the ones with sprinkles.
Yes.
Carob is a curse.
So we got a really bad one for you today, and I'll just let you fine folks talk about it. But it's Julian and the craziness that has been going on with that situation.
So
I think
first,
I'm gonna.
before we start, I just want to give a shout out to our fellow pirates in Iceland for yet again being voted into the the Icelandic Parliament, which I believe the English pronunciation is all thing. I hope I haven't screwed that up. I think that's a great word. And we're really happy that the Icelandic pirates were again returned to the parliament in Iceland. And also today is the election for the Bundestag in Germany. And yet again, the Pirate Party of Deutschland is contesting elections there, and we wish them luck in the elections. I know the polls have closed, but the counting's still going on, and we wish them luck in this election.
Many tall, frothy mugs of beer in your honor. And organ pie.
So could you guys clue me in on what's going on with Julian? And
Julian
what's come to light?
Assange. So Julian Assange has been the figurehead of the hotly contested WikiLeaks, which was at one time and basically an open source depository of pilfered or leaked documents, including things like secret fraternity initiation rites. They were involved in the Pentagon Papers, right? Or was that anyway?
I believe so.
Yeah. So for a long time, they were very well thought of until about 2011 when he was accused, no, 2007, when he was accused of rape by two individuals in his home country of...
No, he was, you were talking about Assange here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was visiting Sweden, and he was accused. That's a whole big can of wax, but that maybe we really shouldn't go down the path. And no, he wasn't part of the Pentagon Papers, but but anyways, yeah, I mean, he had his whole ordeal at the Ecuadorian embassy and that whole thing, and now he's in jail. And yeah, the CIA wanted to kidnap him or kill him or something.
The initial reaction by the Obama administration was kind of a hands-off approach until they released the collateral damage video by oh my god, I'm exhausted. What's his name?
Apache helicopters.
Chelsea Manning.
Yes, by Chelsea Manning's video. At which point the government started taking a more active role monitoring them. That amped up once Trump took power, especially with the release of the Vault 7 collection, which was a huge trove of CIA documents revealing exactly how extensive the CIA's cyber terror capabilities were. Out of the 500 pieces of malware that were active when Vault 7 was released, 91 of them were compromised in this release. Nearly a fifth of them hand-tailored by the CIA.
Which goes to show you that government should not be hoarding like exploit software. They should be working with vendors to fix this stuff, and well, so much for that.
Yeah, so it was the other thing that the Vault 7 just showed how, like, to the individual level, the CIA, the government, is really able to target activists, journalists, dissidents, and like personally compromise their devices, either over the internet or even having physical, like your physical laptop, your physical phone routed to a government black site with to have it like bugged, James Bond style, before then shipping it back to you.
Yeah, I mean, what I don't know, what I find more amazing is the degree to which the CIA, and especially it seems Pompeo, who was then CIA director, really wanted to get WikiLeaks and Assange. They really ramped up the surveillance of WikiLeaks. What were some of the plans they had? They had this hypothesis that the Russians were going to help Assange get to Moscow.
Yeah, the plan was to either declare WikiLeaks a foreign intelligence agency, so as to bypass a number of controls that Congress had in place about the use of force against journalists. But now they started treating him like a foreign intelligence threat. So when Ecuador started exploring the plan B of getting Assange to Russia through Russians, the government started, like, first off, they flooded the area with spies. There was a constant CIA presence around the Ecuadorian embassy, but with both the US and Russia and Great Britain, and probably also the Ecuadorian intelligence services. Pompeo went as far as to start drawing up very elaborate plans for assassination. They were going to drive a car into the car that Assange was in. They were going to, if he made it to the airport, they were going to shoot out the tires of the plane, or like hover a helicopter in the plane's flight path, forcing it to divert. Like, it's just this ridiculous action movie bullshit by these utterly, like, impotent, flaccid, flabby white men who have all the money and all the power and none of the soul.
Or apparently any sense. But also, more tellingly, they wanted to, in categorizing WikiLeaks as a non-state hostile intelligence service, they also started looking at folks like Laura Poitras and Glenn Greenwald to see if they could get them as well, which, I mean, I understand people are concerned about Greenwald not being a journalist, but, at that time he certainly was. And, Poitras, I mean, she's a documentary filmmaker. I mean, it's just amazing to me that they would want to go after them. And if they're willing to go after them, they're willing to go after pretty much anybody.
Oh yeah, the government has absolutely carried out assassinations against domestic journalists, like, within living memory. Like, who was the guy where his car kept accelerating and then wrapped itself around a tree? That was the Pentagon Papers guy.
Yeah, Hastings. Hold on.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, what these guys really showed me, anyways, was how much they track everything you do.
Yep.
And it didn't matter who you were. These people can just track you and watch you and not tell anyone or really report to anyone, right?
It is. It's there's no denying it. The capability has been in power for at least a decade, and we have to assume that in that decade it has been streamlined and improved, and like there's no way there's not a consumer grade version available for like any of the private military or intelligence contractors that our government works for.
There is a consumer level, and I'm glad that you mentioned it, Malt, because it's called Snapchat, and it's called Facebook. And you should be very, very careful what you put out there. Just saying. Because what you put out there does matter. It does. And so what I really wanted to go into tonight, at least personally for me, was all the things Snapchat. Snapchat tracks where you are. And if you think it disappears, you put it online, it's online. So, that being said, I understand.
Sorry, go
Facebook. On. No, I was going to say, just be careful about using those apps because they are tracking you. And not to be the paranoid, crazy dude, but they are.
Can I share some fun stuff about Facebook that happened this week?
Oh yeah, the Facebook thing.
Oh yeah, the Facebook thing. So this, I got word of this through LReg, the register of the British tech blog, but Facebook had 2 shareholder suits filed against it. So the first suit involves a $5 billion fine that Facebook paid to the Federal Trade Commission over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. So this was basically Facebook facilitating, basically allowing Cambridge Analytica to harvest user data, and then go after them for like political targeted ads and that sort of thing. But so the shareholders who are filing this suit believe, they allege that the maximum fine under federal law for this thing should have been about $100 million, which is to say that they're claiming that Facebook's board authorized an overpayment of $4.9 billion, primarily to one, avoid having their CEO Mark Zuckerberg named in the complaint, and to avoid having him deposed or to have him sit for a deposition. But basically, the idea is that Facebook threw a big pile of money at a federal agency to make a problem go away, and the shareholders aren't happy about it. I presume they might have wanted some of that $5 billion themselves. Sometimes capitalism does the right thing eventually. Number 2 is also a little bit interesting. There are several allegations in it, 2 of which are that sort of Facebook's executives divested themselves of shares prior to the FTC's fine. So kind of like an insider trading thing. And, the second, a second complaint there is that, the whole user data harvesting, which sort of like the key to the first complaint, is actually sort of willful neglect and, basically their business practice. We'll see where these go. Apparently they are, although the complaints are available from the Register article, which, should make it into the video description. Apparently they're quite redacted. So it'll be one of these things that is fun to Fun to watch over the next couple of months.
I hope they all catch fire.
Just to circle back on something we talked about, just a reminder, we talked, I think a couple weeks back about the NSO Pegasus leak of that software that the next tier down, not the NSA, not the Russian intelligence or Japanese or Chinese or German or UK intelligence, but next tier countries can go and buy to put malware on your phone that put spyware on your phone. And yeah, it was Michael Hastings who died in a very suspicious car crash, was working on some interesting stuff and had leaked a whole bunch of, had written a book about when he was with American soldiers in, if I recall correctly, Afghanistan, especially generals and things, and he took down notes, and they didn't like that he reported on him. He reported on them. So,
I mean, one of the biggest things that we as the Pirate Party really focus on is being transparent. Now, when you really look at the different societies that we have, and a good example is China, do we really want to turn to China where we're terrified of our government?
Bro, we have been worse than China for years. Like my entire adult life, we have imprisoned more people than China. Like, come on.
That's you. I got to give Malt that we have more prisoners in in just absolute numbers or per capita. This is the U.S. We jail people.
Like what China is doing to the Uyghurs is actually less bad than what America did and is still doing to our Native American populations, both America and Canada and the Catholic Church. I think I hold the Catholic Church equally responsible, frankly. Over 5,000, I think at this point, 5,500 Indigenous children found buried in unmarked graves around residential schools. It's not enough to say that things are getting bad. Things are bad. They're very bad. And like, it's to the point where I honestly don't, I think the powers that be are so heavily entrenched that opposing them is effectively impossible, because you will either be killed or co-opted by a government-run plot. The FBI is so entangled in so many different terrorist actions that you really have to wonder. I don't honestly think America is a democratic society. I think we are ruled by the police industrial complex. I think the police intimidate and are beyond the control of civilian government. And like, it goes beyond just the police at the local level, but also at the state. And it's also a factor in like the National Guard and the Army as well. Like, there's a population, like there's a percentage of the population who does not believe that people outside the armed services are worthy of civilian control of the country. And they have the money, they have the connections, and they have the entire American civic religion supporting them. What the fuck, guys? Like, China's bad, sure, but I don't give a shit about China.
I mean, China's a one-party state and we're a two-party state. Is it really that much better?
We're a capitalist party state.
Well, there is that overarching, the billionaires and the capitalists go, and the business owners go, the big business owners decide where we're going, and who gets the contributions, decide who gets elected.
Yep.
Well, I mean, one thing you could, going back to the story about our little discussion about Julian Assange and Mike Pompeo's desire to assassinate him, both countries, I think, are deeply invested in surveilling their populations, and neither one really likes it when you rub them the wrong way. If anything, I kind of, I have to give China credit in the sense that the Chinese government seems to be upfront about what it's doing, where in the US it's, I get the sense that we kind of do the same thing, but we just lie about it a lot.
I think the main difference is
I think that's fair.
that the government tells the economy what to do in China, and in America, the economy tells the government what to do.
That's absolutely true.
Like, I think that's why the media is so anti-China, is because they don't want to be controlled. Like, American bankers don't want to have to be held accountable for their crimes.
And I do. There are some things about the Chinese model that are really appealing to me. If you think back to like the housing collapse in 2008, right? With Lehman Brothers and all this other stuff that went under, China did fairly well in that, and partially it was because the government is able to say, "Okay, you're doing this now," and the business sector just they really don't have any. They can hem, they can haw, but at a certain point, they just got to do it, and they've also used that to their advantage for things like improving transportation and stuff locally. We'll see. I'm kind of curious to see what the Chinese Communist Party does long term about climate change, but there they will. If anyone is going to come up with a plan and fix it, I think it will be China. And in the United States, well, to the extent that climate change is really the result of human behaviors, people are going to fight to keep those. And it's if there's a homeowner industrial complex that likes to drive around in big SUVs in the suburbs, well, so much for us.
There was one thing China did recently. Or at least their banks did it. They blocked cryptocurrency. How do you guys feel about that?
Fuck them.
The China or cryptocurrency?
Both. I have made my opposite. Like, I think I've made my stance on crypto and NFTs fairly clear. I'm not a fan. The ecological impact is unjustifiable relative to the service it provided, which was. Sorry, Jamie, your camera's cut out. But I will remind you that cryptocurrencies are a giant public ledger of every transaction that happens upon the network. So if you're using them to commit crimes, guess what you've made? A paper trail. And NFTs are just bullshit, top to bottom. Like, yay, artists getting paid, but bro, you are getting paid as part of a money laundering scheme from useless internet fun bucks. So if you're still hanging on to your ether tokens or whatever after it cashed out, chump. Just chump shit, top to bottom, chump shit. And like, I am mostly salty because I saw this shit happen from the start. Like, I was aware of when the pizza was paid for with several thousand Bitcoins. And like, the hope is I could have made money, but the reality is I definitely would have lost my shirt to Mt. Gox when they collapsed the first time. And then every other subsequent collapse, hack, and like end run scam.
So the point is, kids,
L20 correctly.
Don't buy anything in the police parking lot with Amazon gift cards. It's not worth it.
And that being said, we really appreciate your time. I want to give a special shout out to one Bradley Hall. Thank you for reaching out to me. And I can't wait for further discussions with you and to at least get some of the wisdom of pirates of the past, and see if I can't convince you to come and join us again. That being said,
Hey,
thank
we
you,
said
gentlemen.
5 minutes. Are we going to do the whole Free Britney thing?
Oh my
Oh,
god, I
shit,
completely
yeah.
forgot. Oh, Brittany, I'm sorry. We need to get
So
you
this is what you
free.
call the dad surveillance industrial complex.
Oh.
Malt, why did you or Jamie should take this one? You're more familiar
Yeah.
with it.
Jamie, please.
Jamie, take it away.
Yeah, so it was published recently, and at least the New York Times, that Brittany's dad had been hiring, I guess, ex-Israeli soldiers to spy on Brittany, including putting a microphone in her bedroom and spying on the text between her and her lawyer. So, I do not know. I would assume that Brittany would then have a pretty good case against her dad. So, free Brittany.
This is this is honestly not out of character for very, very rich people with conservatorship over very, very rich people. There's a lot of abuse going on, especially in the disabled community, by caretakers acting in bad faith, who are treating human beings as basically just like Matrix style pod people, just generating a passive income. And like, as the government, so like, as these private companies get access to government surveillance tools, they need to turn it into a product to sell. And this is the kind of product that they're going to continue to sell, is just easier and easier ways to spy on the people around you.
Right. I mean, that's the thing when I think about like the Vault 7 hack was, yeah, the CIA had those exploits, and then it got into the wild, and then it got onto, if I recall correctly, it was used by some malware that spread through various devices around. And so it becomes democratized. This information is going to get out eventually. Either someone's going to leak it, or someone else is going to find your CIA or NSA trove of exploit tools, because they're also going on the same server you're on. And, all of us pay for that. All of us suffer and lose our privacy because they're not, the NSA, the CIA, whomever, aren't notifying the companies that make our software, that make our hardware, hey, you got bugs, you got to go fix them. Otherwise, people's security is at stake. I mean, we've had China, Russia, other countries have gone in and taken, various Department of Defense documents, plans for weapons. I mean, if the DoD is not immune, then how are they going to protect us?
Yeah, and at the risk of stating the obvious, the exploit hoarding mentality, just completely disregards the possibility of parallel discovery. So, you may think you have this great exploit, and it turns out that 3 other people have figured the same damn stuff out too. And because, you're sitting on it because on the assumption that others will be vulnerable. Well, damn, you're vulnerable too, man.
Like, we need a non-proliferation pact for the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can you imagine what space would be like if we allowed private companies to like put orbital weapons up there? Like, shit would be going haywire. Like, you'd lose your house every 3 months because something launches a rocket on mistake. Like,
oh, we had to reboot our satellite. Oh, there goes Bermuda.
Like, Stuxnet attacked nuclear facilities. And that was definitely government made. Like, I'm pretty sure it was Israeli government made, but it was probably Israeli government made with American money and secrets and intel.
Yeah, and once it because Stuxnet was a little more aggressive than people thought it would be. Once it got into the wild, well, it's like, hey, we got Stuxnet too, man. It's amazing how much, if you think of the internet as a big giant photocopying machine, it's amazing the amount of shit out there that gets photocopied.
Where do you think memes come from?
Yeah.
Hell. Demons in hell, like 12-year-old demons who feel very strongly about Fortnite.
That being said, we as pirates definitely go for the privacy of you all, and that's one of our biggest shticks, as the saying goes. So we're going to continue the good fight, make you aware, but honestly, I don't want to be spied on. I don't want you guys spied on, and it's not really their business. Especially without that due process, if there's no crime, then they shouldn't be allowed to spy on you. And all these things are just going to keep on popping up and popping up and popping up. And if you don't think it's going to be copied, then you know nothing about memes.
I'm Pickle Rick.
Pickle Rick.
From that show.
So that being said, thank you very much for joining us this evening. I appreciate you, gentlemen. And we didn't miss any other topics, did we?
Nope.
I mean, we missed the House vote not to limit DOD equipment going to police forces, but we can talk about that next week.
Yeah, I think next week we'll get more into that. That being said, I really appreciate you guys for a wonderful evening, and I will see you again next week.
I sure hope nothing interesting happens before then.
I hope nothing. No one gets arrested.
Thanks, folks. Check us out at masspirates.org.
No promises on that one.
All right, we're clear.